Good evening, all. So, the question that I had was, does the absence of a good mentor debilitate your ability to differentiate between good and bad leadership? When I first started my research, I was primarily focusing on how the absence of a good mentor can adversely affect your ability to know what good and bad leadership was. When I did my research, I was led to the Lejeune Leadership Institute, where I read the Fighter Discussion Guide, and I was also led to the United States Library of Medicine, where I read about a study that was done at two different academic health centers. Before we are able to identify what good and bad leadership is, first we would have to know what makes someone a good and bad leader to begin with. And you will find this in the Fighter Discussion Guide, which also discusses characteristics of a good and bad mentor, roles and responsibilities, qualities to avoid. The Fighter Discussion Guide provides you with skills and behaviors to help guide you through the entire mentorship process. Now, the qualitative study that I read about was called Characteristics of a Successful and Failed Mentoring Relationship. This study demonstrates the results of what happens when you lack or have the qualities of a good mentor. The study was done with faculty members from both health centers, and it focused on mentorship questions based on their own personal development. The study was very big. There was a lot of different sections, but I chose to primarily focus on the consequences of a failed mentoring relationship. After doing all that research, I realized that the absence of a good mentor doesn't necessarily mean that you'll become a bad leader yourself. After some research, I realized that it definitely does affect you both positively and negatively. It can positively affect you if you take into consideration all the mistakes that were done during your own development and choose to want to do better. But not all of us are like that. Some of us decide that, okay, well, this is how it was done with me, so this is how I'm going to be with my Marines. Or this is how I was treated, so I'm going to treat them just like this or worse. And that's not the right way to do things. Unfortunately, studies show that the majority of us are negatively impacted by not having a good mentor. This can directly impact the way we develop leadership in our Marines, the way that our Marines develop leadership in their Marines, and it's a continuous cycle that I think that us as leaders need a break. As leaders, we must be aware and humble enough to identify where we are falling short. I recommend leaders read the characteristics of a good and bad mentor, which are found in the Fighter Discussion Guide. See where you fall short. Ask yourself, am I hitting all the wickets? Are you the leader that you would have wanted during your own development? Thank you.